It's TGIF, and we're saying welcome to Breakfast Central here on News Central on a Friday. It's been a very fantastic week so far, so good, with tremendous stories, you could say, nerve-wracking and hurting kind of stories that you would see and you would hold your chest and say, ouch, how did this happen? But anyway, I'm Joe Hansen, welcoming you to Breakfast Central. Benga is in the house. Good morning, Benga.
Good morning and welcome to Breakfast Central. I mean, the best place you can be to ease you into the weekend with a perfect mix of news, conversations, and everything you need to know. We bring you the latest information when it comes to news and talk. I am Benga Aboro, and we have quite a lot in store for you today, so you don't want to miss the entire 2 hours of this show. But first, let's start with breakfast conversations. Where do we start from? Yes, Ambrose Ali University, where the students, they kind of overdid, but this sort of the response from the university authorities, I believe, is a bit too harsh. I wonder what you think. And if you're wondering what we're talking about, let me give you the gist.
All right.
So students, final year students of Ambrose Ali University, after writing their final paper, decided to jubilate widely, like they won the World Cup, Champions League, you know. Jeeps were out, siren blazing, they were popping champagne, you know, spraying money. And then the university authority said, okay, you guys have not even graduated, you've not seen the results, and you are doing all this wild jubilation. So the university authorities decided to cancel, let's cancel the results of the exams they wrote.
Ooh.
I wonder what you think about, how you feel about this.
I think that's wild. I do recall that in the past, people usually celebrate after the final paper. It's much more like throwing a party. But I think they've taken it to the next level of recent, where the celebration doesn't just come with noise and drinks. It also comes with, crazy driving within the school
It's
premises.
almost like they're shooting a music video.
Yeah, sirens and all that. It pains me a lot. We're expecting to see videos flood the internet space, but maybe in time we'll get those videos and also share them with you, our viewers. But that's the story, like Benga has broken it down. So the school authority and management decided to get into a closed-door meeting very quickly, and they had no choice but to invoke the extant law on wild celebrations and partying. And that's exactly what they did. And that law clearly states that, of course, there would be consequences. And part of the consequences is they cancelled that final paper, those final papers, about 3 or 4 of them. And when they canceled these papers, it means that that celebration was simply for nothing.
Exactly.
Right?
Joe, I mean, you went to university, obviously. Did you celebrate like this in your days?
No, I didn't. I didn't. Funny enough, Benga, I was schooling and I was working at the same time. So it was much more like
student.
Oh yeah. So the moment we finished, I didn't have time because I know my work had to take me to. I was a reporter apparently, so my work had to take me to go do a report in Abuja. So as soon as I finished, attended the final, we're done, we graduated. Immediately.
So let's think back a bit. I mean, let's put ourselves in the psychology, in the space of a student. Why these wild celebrations? No one is saying you shouldn't celebrate, but why do they take it to the next level? Is it an influence from the pop culture, or are they just trying to outdo themselves? Because number one, you haven't even seen the results. You don't know if you've passed. You are celebrating. Some of those guys that were celebrating will still have extra, 1 year extra, 2-star generals, 2 year extra, and all of that. You don't even know what the labor market is saying. Some states are not even paying minimum wage, and you are doing all of that. Why?
I guess they had it in mind that, listen, there's a statement that, I mean, they usually make in the, let's call it the street statement, all die not die.
It's true.
In other words, let's just eat.
Live life to the fullest.
Let's live life. Let's pop some bottles. Let's pop some bottles and let's have a great time, regardless of, it's so funny that some people that were joining them, popping the bottles and doing all of that, carryover is clapping its hand and telling them, come close. Come, let's talk. Let's do this. And that's exactly what we're seeing. But I think it would be unbecoming to actually blame the school authority, the management, and the likes, but because they just said it's part of the law of the school.
But that's a bit harsh.
Yeah.
What else could they have done?
Well, if you say a bit harsh, I think I would love to talk to either the VC or any of the management staff to ask if there was a forewarning that such shouldn't take place. But for them to have, exacted the laws, it shows that there possibly, since there's a law, it means that, of course, there could have been a warning. The students would have been aware of that law as well.
So I guess after all that drinking, they need to go back to the class and study because you're going to write those exams.
How painful is going to be? It's going to be like when you go back home and your dad says, "Congrats," but you're sad. And he said, "What happened?" They said they cancelled our final papers. We have to write it again.
We're celebrating too hard.
Yeah, painful. Anyway, away from that, Benga, let's also look at our wake-up conversations as we also talk about Donald Trump is in the news. Benga, you have the details?
Yes, it was in the news earlier this week and it sent shock waves across most of the developing world. In development parlance, they call it the global south. Yes, President Trump withdrew funding from PEPFAR and the HIV and AIDS presidential initiative to developing countries. And it's been very, very useful. It's reduced HIV and AIDS prevalence in a lot of these countries. Nigeria is a beneficiary, South Africa, and quite a lot of countries as part of this America First policy. And that sent shivers down the in the development space. But in a dramatic fashion, I mean, you can't predict Trump. It's like a reality show. He did, he reversed that decision.
He used to own a reality
exactly.
show too,
He used to be a reality star. He was in WWE too.
Oh, yeah.
I remember him.
Simpsons.
Yeah, Simpsons. Yeah, he's a star. And I guess we'll be entertained for the next 4 years, or we'll be on our the edge of our seats for the next 4 years. So President Trump has reversed that decision, but a lot of comments have been coming in and people are saying, you know, this man is quite unpredictable. Let's take it with a pinch of salt. But good news is that he has said funding should continue for now. His Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, made that announcement yesterday.
I think it's a good turn. At least Africa could heave a sigh of relief. Also, do remember that in order for you to actually leave the World Health Organization, and like I did mention a few days when we had this conversation, America was equally one of the largest founders, one of the founders of the WHO as far back as 1948, if I can recall. And then they are the biggest funder, like we also mentioned. So far, so good, about $1.42 billion, if I'm right, yeah. And that's not just all. Aside that, it's also going to take them 12 months. To leave. Even though you declare that you're leaving the WHO, it will take you 12 months before you finally, put pen to paper and sign that you are out. Now, developing countries should not rest on their oars, because the mindset that, oh, finally Trump has decided to give us a lifeline, it's not what you should toil with. I think what happened initially, where he said he's no longer going to do it, should be the stance of every single African leader. I also wish I had enough time to have plugged in Uhuru Kenyatta's video, the former president of Kenya. You heard what he said, right? Yeah, but every single thing he said, I appreciated it. Trust me, I like what he said. This is a call for African leaders to wake up. But I asked the question, when you were there,
exactly,
why didn't you wake up?
How?
Like wake-up conversations,
How much did you develop Kenya's health sector to be independent of donors?
Yeah.
And it's a big conversation we need to have. The aid industrial complex, we're so used to handouts that it makes us really lazy, and we're waiting for a big brother. We always attend this China summit, American summit, this summit, what have you. We need to look inwards, and like Joe said, it's a wake-up call and fix our health sector.
I mean, this morning, I'm also just going to leave it here by saying, isn't it a shame that ECOWAS and the other regional blocs cannot form a health security organization? Because the World Health Organization is basically a global health security initiative or organization that goes ahead to ensure that there is a global standard to approaching health issues, you know, pandemics and the likes. Can't Africa have its own? Must Africa always continue to rely on the West or the Western world to develop and then you wait for funds?
It's a fruitful thought. It's a fruitful thought. We have the Africa CDC, but like you said, the donations come from development partners and
even the Africa CDC. It's much more like after the pandemic came and gone. I'm talking about COVID. Once in a while, yes, they talk about, you know, the likes of smallpox, chicken pox. I know the struggle of African CDC asking, what do we name it? Should we name it monkeypox or pox? You know, these are the irrelevant things that we should be talking about. We should be looking at developmental processes whereby you could say the African CDC has been able to establish a medical center in South Africa that will cater to this. Their research, don't get me wrong, these things are in place already, but why would a global world leader make a statement and everybody in Africa is shaking?
Panic mode all around the developing world.
It's funny. But anyway, these are the stories we have for you on our Wake Up Conversations. We're taking a look at AAU and the students and not forgetting to Donald Trump. We do have breakfast headlines coming up pretty soon. That's the statement there from Ambrose Ali University. Cancellation of all final year courses written on Wednesday, 29 January 2025. I'm sure any students who joined in celebrating will be watching I Am Benga this morning and saying something negative.
And I'm sure, I mean, they're inspired by Rema. You know, he's a Benin boy. You know that song now, Benin boys gang, gang, gang. So you expect them to show walk-ins, you expect them to do better.
So it's much more like touchdown, Benin boys, or something like that.
Yeah,
right?
they will write the exam again, no problem. I mean,
don't mind us, we're just waking up. So we need to wake up with fear, right? That's what Wake Up Conversations is about. I'll take a look at possibly the oddity or the other side of the stories. But then again, stay with us. 2 hours is just here. We just kicked off. Let's tell you what the top stories are this morning on Breakfast Central. Today on Breakfast Central, the legal IGP statement, court grants Sowore 10 million naira bail and they ask for his international passport. Yes.
And Sowore responds, you never get my international passport.
All right. Let's also tell you that today on Breakfast Central, Rufai and Bwala in public field over President Tinubu's policies. It's not too good, but we'll talk about that.
And some big news here. NNPCL flags of construction of 5 mini LPG plants.
And we'll talk about the newspaper front pages as well. Do us a favor, stay with us. Breakfast Central for Friday begins now. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us. Now, let's begin by telling you that former presidential candidate and activist Omoyele Sowore has been granted 10 million naira bail by the Federal High Court in Abuja, along with one surety who had to be a law-abiding citizen and possesses property in the Federal Capital Territory. Sowore was ordered by the court on Thursday to deposit his foreign passport with the court registrar. The activist is charged with 17 counts of cybercrime. When it was read to him on Wednesday, Sowore entered a not guilty plea to all 17 counts. Well, besides the impact of climate crisis in Nigeria, Northeast's bad governance remains the biggest factor sustaining insecurity and criminal activities in the region. This is according to the Borno State Governor Babagana Zulum, who spoke to News Central. On the sidelines of the 5th Lake-Chad Basin Governors Forum in Maiduguri, the state capital, Governor Zulum added that poverty, illiteracy and inequality are also hindering the region's development, but that there's been significant progress and commitment towards restoring peace in the past few years.
Has been reduced to the barest minimum now in the northeastern Nigeria. This is a known fact. We have a lot of factors that contribute to insurgency, not only residing in the Lake-Chad. Also, some of the underlying causes of the insurgency, amongst others, are illiteracy, as well as poverty. So poverty is linked up to lack of food, because the mainstay of our economy in Borno State, and indeed in northeastern Nigeria, is agriculture. So if agricultural activity is being hampered, then there will be poverty. Once there's poverty, poverty will bring insurgency. This one. But apart from the issue of poverty, we still have problem of illiteracy. Are you getting what I'm saying? Social inequality, environmental degradation, increasing infrastructural deficit, amongst others, are some of the factors that are responsible for insecurity in the region. Above all, bad governance, poor governance. These are some of the factors, but you have seen what has happened within 2019 to date. There's tremendous achievement in the areas of security.
Very incisive conversation there by the Governor Babagana Zulum. Well, in case you missed out on the event, which indeed was very, very engaging yesterday, we did have our reporter who was on ground. And not forgetting too, we did have our in-house anchor. They both did justice to the event in terms of bringing you all the latest stories and updates. You might want to check out our previous news bulletin on social media, plus the entire coverage of the event. And you can be certain that you would get a very, very incisive details of how it went down. And that's all on Breakfast Headlines for this hour. We'll do this. We'll go for a quick break. When we come back, our top stories will be up next. Do us a favor. Stay with us.
You're welcome back to Breakfast Central. Nigerian activist and politician Omoyele Sowore has been granted bail to the tune of 10 million naira with one surety and like sum. Sowore was also mandated by the court to deposit his international passport with a court registrar. News Central's correspondent Joshua Imarayi, who has been following the case, filed this report.
The case came up for hearing again before Justice Musa Liman of the Federal High Court in Abuja. After hearing from both the defense and prosecution counsels, the trial judge granted Omoyele Sowore a bail of 10 million naira with one surety in like sum. He also ordered Sowore to deposit his international passport with the court. Showore's lawyer dismissed the prosecution's claim that he is a flight risk, insisting the objection lacked merit.
The police opposed the application, claiming that Sowore is going to jump bail, that is going to disappear. Embarrassingly enough, as the judge himself noted, and correctly so, even the police admitted Sowore on administrative bail, even though the conditions were ridiculous.
Sowore, however, reacted to the court's ruling, expressing displeasure over the requirement to deposit his passport to the court registrar.
We know that the police is interested in my passport, and the judge asked me to deposit the passport. As you are aware, I have only one passport, the green Nigerian passport. But you can take the passport, but you can't take away my rights. You can't shut me up. You cannot make me disappear.
The court also granted Sowore an additional 24 hours to meet his bail conditions, with the case adjourned to April 8, 2025 for the commencement of proceedings. In Abuja for News Central, I am Joshua Imarayi.
Yeah, there you have it. One of our top stories for today up for discussion, the Sowore saga. I mean, Joe, Sowore He always has comments. He always has something to say. He said he's not going to surrender his passport at this time around.
Yeah. Yesterday, the day before yesterday, which happened to be Wednesday, when he did come out and was talking to members of the press, if you recall, he had said that I don't have an international passport. I don't have that he doesn't use passports when he travels. That they know him. He just walks and then he's.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. And then he went on to say, even if they need his passports, they will not see the international passport. So the question that came to my head was, so does he have an international passport or he doesn't have an international?
Of course he has an international passport. He's just playing, he's just pulling everyone's legs. But I know he's a feather ruffler, he's an activist, he's been doing this for 30 odd years, but you know, the case hearing for proceedings will be at the end of April, I believe April 28th.
Yeah.
And surrendering his passport is one of the conditions for him to perfect his bail, apart from providing 10 million and also a surety and like sum.
Yeah.
So is he willing to remain in police custody until April 28th because he's holding on to his passport? I mean, we can debate the legality of the police holding on to his passport, saying he's not a flight risk and all of that, and I don't think someone of his standing would jump bail or run away. So he should just do what the courts has asked, and he can take, I mean, during the trial proper, when proceedings open, he can air out his views and say everything he wants to say. Only if he enjoys police detention and the facilities there, then you can decide not to, because the judge has said you're not going to get bail until you meet these conditions.
Well, that's what's been said. There's also the case of the directive that he needs to submit the international passport in 24 hours. So he has 24 hours to, tender his passport right before the court, just as they said. But he also put out this tweet and said, if you recall, the Nigerian Police Force has requested that I deposit my international passport and provide a level 17 servant as a guarantor for bail, but I've declined these conditions and opted to remain in police custody. This was what started the entire process, if you can remember. First of all, was told to bring a level 17 civil servant, and he also made it clear in the video, which we also had, where he said, how is he going to get to level 17? Level 17 civil servant is similar to having a secretary of state, if I'm right. Yes. And then he also mentioned that a level 17 officer, you can't just walk around and find them and say, hey, come and you do this. So they reduced it to level 16, which he said, I am not. Now, we took some time when one of his lawyers joined us, if you recall, Winger, yes. And these questions were asked, even with Inebe Efyong, both lawyers joined, and they had broken it down that such does not exist in the Nigerian constitution, that when one has been, apprehended, has also been, asked to, okay, because you have this situation, therefore, you have to provide. It's not a condition
backed up by the law.
Yeah. It's not. You have to provide a level 17 and level 16. And that also, but Sowore said a whole lot. Now, let's be clear here. For us as journalists, our job here is to ensure that the information that is being passed is not disseminated in a way that it turns out to become disinformation or misinformation. So the question now is, what is the law? The police is dealing with the lawyers. Mm-hmm. It means that the police are supposed to know the tenets of the law.
And that's why they're called law officers.
Of course. Yeah. Now, the lawyers are the ones who ensure that these laws are indeed upheld in the society. Okay? But all of this conversation going back and forth is highlighting a few things for us. But then again, I believe our guest, who's joining us now, will also paint a picture for us and help us see what really took place in the courtroom up until yesterday and what has been requested of Sowore and, of course, his camp. Well, joining us now, we have coordinator, Take It Back Movement, Abuja chapter. He was there live. Rex Elanu joins us this morning. Thank you for being here, Rex.
Thank you for having me. Good morning to all of you.
Okay. We need your hindsight, and that's why we've brought you in. I would like you to please paint a picture of what transpired from when you were there up until yesterday, and give us a clear depiction of what the situation is now.
Okay, thank you very much. I think what has been playing on from Monday, even when Sowore was invited by the police force, up until yesterday, has just been, I would call it an egocentric battle. It's just a battle. Egbetokun, the IGP of police, just wants to save his face and make Nigerians so scared of ever trying or attempting to criticize him, or perhaps even the government. It's been happening to other critics. So from Monday, Sowore was invited to the police, the Force Intelligence Department, and he honored the invitation and went there. And the first shock for people who love democracy or who expect democracy in Nigeria was the police saying he should drop his passport and the bail by have a shorty of a level 17 officer. And I was wondering, who walks into an interview and begins to talk about bail? I've never heard anybody being bailed from an interview. And when it got to that point, Sowore, he outrightly refused such outrageous bail conditions and requested that he be charged to court. He will not be dropping his passport or looking for a level 17 officer who's apparently an appointee of the government to come and stand shorty for him. And he was detained at the Abattoir police facility here, which is notoriously the SARS, known as the SARS, the defunct SARS facility. And eventually they were planning to take him to Lagos, but I'm sure they were confused as well, because our comrades in Lagos were already waiting for them with agitation. And eventually they charged him to court the next day. But again, the police have not, they're just wasting resources, wasting time, wasting the time of the courts, wasting the time of, in fact, it's shame. And I think the critics of the Nigerian police, someone like Kemi Badenoch and the rest outside Nigeria, will be laughing and smiling at us. Of course, we are giving them every justification to even say more and stand on their grounds that our police system is totally dysfunctional. Now, the court has, in its own wisdom, has granted Sowore bail and asked that he deposit his passport. Now, this is where I continue to wonder where we are headed for in Nigeria. A man who has been exposing corruption in Nigeria, who has been exposing police extortion, police brutality, who has also even been fighting for the rights of policemen and military officers, who even proposed a 250,000 naira minimum wage for them, who proposed every welfare that makes their work conducive and enables them to deliver on their services. Same man is invited to the police station or the police department and asked ridiculous questions about cyber stocks. He did not obey policemen on duty. And in fact, the major issue about this whole drama is the IGP who doesn't want to be called an illegal IGP. Not just by Sowore, he's scared that Nigerians will start calling, and eventually that has happened. Because if you look at what has happened from Monday till now, more people are boldly calling him an illegal IGP. More graphics are online everywhere calling him an expired IGP, calling for his resignation and his sack, possibly. So they are shooting themselves on their own feet. But the issue of detaining or keeping Sowore in Nigeria, collecting his passport, even though the court said if he has any important reason to travel, he can apply to the court and have his. But I want the Nigerian government to learn from this present Tinubu government, to learn from Buhari's government, the past APC government. Sowore was kept in Nigeria for over 3-4 years without access to his passport or leaving this country. And what happened within that time? That was when NSAS happened, and if Nigerians really want to dig up history, we should go and look and see how Sowore catalyzed the NSAS protests in Nigeria. In fact, in Abuja here, Sowore led a team of other activists to the force headquarters on the very first NSAS protest here. In the same Abuja here, we had North is Bleeding protest, We even had the one against insecurity, May 31st or thereabout, when he was shot. We had several protests, even December 31st, 1st. So if you keep Sowore is actually an active citizen. And with such activeness and, will I call it, productive restlessness, you keep such a person in Nigeria.
All right.
Tinubu's government should expect more resistance and should expect that IGP as well should expect that his journey out of the service has just started.
Now, Rex, let's look at the current situation. Just yesterday, he was granted bail to the tune of 10 million and asked to surrender his passport. The court gave Sowore only 24 hours to perfect his bail conditions. Do you think this timeline is realistic, and what is your movement doing so that it can perfect this bail conditions? Is he likely going to be out today? Because we know that the next time the court will be holding proceedings for this case will be sometime in April.
Well, that I'll leave for the legal team to handle. But the truth is, when it comes to Sowore, they are always bringing very stringent conditions and making it very difficult for him to be free. But like he said in court, Sowore is out, he's free. It's not his physical body that needs to be out on the street. It's his mind roaming the streets, and you can see his mind is roaming everywhere in the consciousness of Nigerians who align with his message against police extortion, against every form of social injustice in Nigeria. So Sowore himself is not even bothered about whether the conditions are good or bad or stringent or easy. Sowore is resolute about his convictions that Nigeria cannot continue like this. We have to come to that point where we have democracy, our institutions are strengthened. What we have today is our strong men all over Nigeria. We don't have strong institutions. That's why Yaya Bello can walk into the EFCC, walk out, he can be invited, he will disregard the invitation, he can be taken to court and comes back home to have a celebration. Or someone like Abdulrashid Meina, who stole police pension. Where is he today? There are a lot of ridiculous, they just give them one small bill, they just walk into their car, remove money, and even pay for that and walk away. But when it comes to those who are standing for the progress, development of this country, of course, these guys, you can see by their actions that they are not pro-people, they are just for themselves. So Sowore's bail condition is not even an issue to bother about. The issue we should be bothered about is the condition of Nigeria as it is. Our institutions are falling every day. Look at what INEC has done. Today is the police. Tomorrow, who knows which institution we'll be talking about. So we should be more bothered about our freedom. When are we going to get out? Not even Sowore. Sowore is out. His mind is out there. That's why I'm speaking to you. I have same consciousness. I desire a country that works for all. So our main issue is how are we going to be out of this mess, this stranglehold that has been placed upon us? How are we going to get institutions that can serve us, policemen that can serve us? How are we even going to get the police force to have better welfare packages for their own policemen? If a DSP is going to be collecting 1.7 as gratuity, you can as well tell that DSP will do everything to extort on the road before it's time for retirement. So the bail conditions and how it's going to be worked about is not really an issue for Nigerians, but the legal team will do that. But I believe that Sowore's voice cannot be scuffled, neither can the voices of those who are oppressed be scuffled. In fact, what you should expect from our movement is more of agitation and resistance. And this government should be very ready. We're just starting the year. A lot of Nigerians are going to buy into our ideals because they are also oppressed. They've been scared. We are giving them that voice. And we are calling on Nigerians, stop being scared. Those who have not protested are dying of hunger every day. Those who have not come to the streets to protest are dying from bad medical services, police brutality, road accidents because of bad roads, and so many, even hunger and poverty. So let's stop being scared. Let's come out and demand the Nigeria we deserve. The guys who have put us in this problem, this oppression for so long, are less than 1% of our society. So what are we scared of? We need to be concerned about
Rex.
our liberation more. Yes.
Anyway, we do get your point. I mean, it's one thing to look at what the way forward is, especially with this particular case. Another thing to also talk about what Sowore had done and what the situation currently is like. I mean, my final question to you would be, going by what has just happened concerning Sowore and the police, do you see any middle ground that possibly your movement and the police could actually have a one-on-one meeting, like sit down and talk things out rather than take it out of context in terms of on social media, because Sowore is actually facing these counts, and it's called cybercrime, meaning that these are things that you possibly could have in terms of a one-on-one discussion with the police force, rather than take it to the social media space and calling them out. What's your take on that? Do you think that's more achievable?
Well, Sowore had a very lengthy discussion at the FID on Monday. I don't think we have any need to be coming to discuss and look for middle ground. When you are looking for justice, I don't think middle ground is a term you should be talking about. Justice is justice. There's no middle ground for justice. And oppressors will not want to come to any middle ground and compromise their own stance. What is needed at this point in time to get to that middle ground you call middle ground, that I call freedom and justice, is for resistance to be up to the maximum, where the oppressors do not have a choice. Their middle ground will be our freedom and justice. Their middle ground will be where our resistance has put them and made them incapable of perpetrating or even sustaining such impunity and injustice. So I don't see us coming to sit on it. What are we going to be discussing with the police that they don't know already? Do you need to tell the police that their IGP is expired? Do you need to tell the police that the people in the rank and file need to grow in the police force? If Egbetokun is being there, is going to be there for 2027, you can all I'm sure you all know what 2027 elections will look like. So the middle ground for Nigerians should be justice, nothing less than justice at all levels. So I don't see us coming to discuss with the police. We've passed that stage. This is the point where we have to resist them, and they have no choice. Then we are the citizens. We pay them. We pay taxes. They have no choice than to come to common ground, the middle ground of our liberation and freedom. That's where we stand. For now, what you should be expecting is more resistance. And even if Sowore is released, that will not stop the agitation to stop police extortion or police brutality, or even improve the welfare of police officers who are underpaid. I'm sure some private security outfits even pay their personnel more than the police force as it is today. I'm sure private citizens even live in better accommodations than the rickety, dilapidated police barracks we see all over the place with sewage pouring everywhere. How do you expect such people to even function like normal people when they are interacting with normal Nigerians?
All right.
So our position is resistance until it's justice.
Okay. Anyway, I think what we've done here is also to see if we could chart a way forward. But then again, your stance has been made known to us. And we'll look forward to speak to the police officers, especially the PPRO, when he joins us on Breakfast Central concerning this. Thanks for your time. Take It Back Movement Coordinator, Abuja Chapter, Rex Elanu.
Thank you, Rex. Thank you very much for having me.
All right. Well, we'll go on a very quick break. When we come back, we have another conversation. There seems to be a battle that's coming from within. One who moved, or like they say, ported from PDP to APC, and one of the founding members who was there and has always been there, they seem to engage in a little what we call social media scuffle. We'll talk about that after this break.
Welcome back to Breakfast Central, your home for interesting and lovely conversations. We have another top story to bring you right now. On January the 30th, 2025, a former Kaduna State Governor, Nasir El-Rufai, and President Bola Tinubu's aide on policy communication, Daniel Bwala, clashed on X, formerly known as Twitter, over the current state of the ruling All Progressive Congress, with El-Rufai criticizing it as a zero-man show due to the lack of activity, prompting Bwala to question El-Rufai's motives. And he said, if we were to be serving in the current administration, would he be making this statement? But here's what we know about this development. Recall that on January the 28th, Nasir El-Rufai criticized the ruling All Progressive Congress for staying from its core values, stating that he no longer recognizes this party. Despite being a chieftain in the APC, having no appointment in the current administration, he had raised rumors about his refusal to support the president or accept to serve in his cabinet. And also, Bwala questioned if El Rufai would be critical if he were to be in the president's cabinet, and El Rufai defended his position, saying he had no interest in government roles and accused Bwala of political opportunism. Finally, Bwala called for El Rufai to return to the APC, accusing him of vengeance rather than patriotism.
Drama, you could say, drama upon drama. But you see, this public feud between El Rufai and Bwala not only sheds light on internal wranglings within the APC, but also raises questions about party governance and where the loyalty of some truly lie. Well, let's bring in our guest who joins us live in the studio.
Yes, the public feud between El Rufai and Bwala not only sheds light on internal wranglings within the APC, but raises questions about the party's governance and where the loyalty of some of its members truly lie. Now, joining us to further uncover what implications and put this in perspective, we're joined by a member of the APC, an APC chieftain, Mr. Akin Bash. Thank you very much for joining us on the program this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Now, first off, let's start with internal democracy in the APC. And this was one of the reasons why the former minister made his statement. Nasir El Rufai criticized the APC for lacking internal democratic structures. He said it's a one-man show, to use his words. How do you, what do you make of his claims? Do they hold weight? And how does this impact the party's credibility and future? Does he have legitimate grounds for that statement?
Thank you so much for inviting me. Let me say that for me, that claim is weightless and I can substantiate it. When you talk about party democracy or governance, there are different organs of party that runs its activities. About 9. You have the ward level, you have the local government level, you have the unit level, you have the regional level, you have the National Working Committee, and finally you have the NEC.
He said the NEC had not met in quite a long time.
He said the NEC had not met in the past 2 years. That cannot be correct. Because the officers who are managing the affairs of the party as of today were put in place by the NEC sometimes in August 2023. So if you're talking about 2 years, you still have some months to go. But that's not even the point. In his own state, what role is he playing within the party? Is the party running the state? If the party is not, I mean, it's not the president that will help the party to run in individual states. Each state has a structure. I'm in Lagos. I tell you this, as of yesterday, every local government in Lagos State had their monthly meeting. By today, every ward in Lagos State, across Lagos State, will hold their, we had a local government meeting yesterday. Today, every ward in Lagos will be having their ward meeting. If that happens, and it happens all over the place, I mean, what are you now talking about? So the party itself has the basic unit at the ward level. And meetings are being held regularly at this level. So for anybody to now come and claim that, the party is not being managed well, I think it leaves a lot of room to be desired. He probably might have other things,
Do you think that the former governor is dissatisfied with the fact that he wasn't placed on a high pedestal, having supported President Tinubu into power, and he did all he could, but all of a sudden, maybe he expected much? Do you think he's speaking because he's talking from a place of expectation, dashed expectation?
I would align with that, honestly, too. You see, El Rufai has always been a big player, and El Rufai has always liked to be at the center of activity. And where somebody who is used to this kind of disposition finds himself at some point not in the position to play that same role he's used to, you're like to have an issue. And there's this comment he made, which for me cannot be right, when he said that he never wanted to serve in Ashwa's
government. Oh yes, I was going to come to that.
If he never wanted to serve in Ashwa's government, why did he submit himself to screening at the National Assembly? He was screened. So that's height of unprincipled position. If I make up my mind, I'm not going to serve in the capacity, I will insist on that. But you went to the National Assembly, and the National Assembly did not pass you. You failed their strength.
Could it be that you just wanted to honor the invitation as a reputable person?
Reputable? Honor an invitation for a responsibility you don't want to carry? A ministerial position? No. But he could not pass the test of the National Assembly, and that's the official fact. You understand? So, I don't know the details, but of course, there are so many theories that will be flying. But the point is, he was offered an opportunity and he could not scale through.
Sorry to butt in. The theories that could be flying, could it be that he was not looking to be a minister, was looking for maybe a chief of staff role or something?
Or something
do you think,
bigger?
Do you think that ministerial role was fitting for him?
Of course, why not? Anybody should be available to serve at any level at all, if your interest is service to your country or service to the people. You cannot choose what role you want to play. You cannot.
Now let's talk about another issue. Rufai mentions some of his grievances. Rufai described APC's leadership as consisting of illiterate, semi-illiterate, and cunning people. How do you assess this characterization?
I think
these are very strong words.
I think there are various levels of members. If you're talking at the final level, which is the grassroots, of course, different people come into that. But when you say APC leadership, you yourself know now, will Ganduje be an illiterate? Is Felix Moka an illiterate? Bashir Ajibola, who is the secretary of the party, is a lawyer, has been a senator, can that be an illiterate? Our regional representative here is a PhD holder, Dr. Latif Ibirogba, representing Southwest. So what is he talking about?
Now, what's the leadership of APC doing about, shouldn't there be punitive measures, or are there no internal mechanisms to deal with this sort of disputes? Because this is a play of words on social media, on TV, and it doesn't look good. They say a house divided can't stand on its own. They're both, still a card-carrying member of the APC the last time I checked.
He claims to still be a member, but his body language for me, no. It's on record now. He has been junketing all over the place, relating with different parties and people. So if he's now coming to say he does not believe in APC, for me, he's flying a kite. But in terms of discipline, I can tell you that APC has, the methodology for dealing with situations like this. Take, for example, recently, they said Egbetokun has been suspended. You understand? You see, the comment he's making, a lot of people will think, sorry, you're a big guy in this party. Why not, seek for internal mechanism to do all of this? You understand? So there will always be rope given to any member of the party in situations like this. But when when the red line is crossed, the party also has the mechanism, to deal with such. And I'm sure it cannot be an exception.
Well, there are also rumors flying that possibly El Rufai might be teaming up with Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi. These are just rumors that we see online. Of course, we do recall that there was a little talks that there would be a meeting, and in this meeting, these two personalities may form and have their own party emerging to contest for 2027. You've also highlighted that he's been junketed, he's been here and there, and so on. Can we, or are we going to see any suspension of El Rufai anytime soon? Since you said APC has zero tolerance of persons or members who may cross party.
See, the decision to wield the big stick does not lie with people like us. Like I said, there are stages at which all of this is being dealt with. And I'm sure at the right time, he has not told us he's not a member of APC anyway. So to that extent, I'm sure the leadership will be looking for a way of dealing internally with whatever grounds that he may have. If they are really genuine as far as the party administration is concerned.
So there are two sides to looking at things. Joe has just looked at the disciplinary side, the APC wielding the big stick like they did against Agbeshola. Now let's look at reconciliation efforts. El Rufai, he was a minister 22 years ago. He's a founding member of the party. he's not just any type of ordinary member of the APC. He was also a minister in the last administration. Bwala urged Rufai to reconcile with the APC. He said, come home, and the Tinubu administration. Do you think reconciliation is feasible, one? And what steps should both sides need to take to mend fences, or is all the love lost?
Reconciliation is possible. In politics, they will tell you that please come here and don't go away. So I know that efforts will be made to reach out to him.
Is there still room?
Yeah, there's still room. You can be too sure. I mean, there's room. Like you said, Rufai, yeah, if I remember and all that. But let me say this. There are hundreds, millions of founding members of APC. It's not, I mean, if 3 people are organized to lay a foundation, you understand, or to come up with a position paper, that does not mean that they are the owners of the party. And when you talk about leadership, you are a leader to the extent of those who are behind you. So for a leader to take a step, you must really think about your followership and see whether you have, you know, that strength, you understand, to do what you do. Take, for example, in Kaduna as of today, the current governor has been so, has been highly inclusive. You are no longer hearing the Christians shouting that they have been let out of it and all that. You saw the governor during the Christmas celebration. He was with them in the church and all that. All this was not happening then. So things are really changing. So you should expect that, I mean, an individual who is used to a particular approach of doing things suddenly now sees that, sorry, things have been done differently. You understand? So the likelihood of, you know, issues are just natural. And that's why I asked the question. Leave the national now. The national is not the only thing. In his own state, what is happening there? Is he participating in the activity of the party or not? If he's participating, then it means good enough. So, but generally, I mean, reconciliation, I'm sure a lot of people should be talking with him by now. And at the same time, don't forget that every party has its own intelligence gathering strategy. So, I mean, there are so many things going on, and a lot of people are aware of some of these things. But like I said, it takes a long time to say somebody should leave your party. No, except the line has been fully crossed. You don't score a goal until the ball completely crosses the line. So.
Okay. You've also alluded to the fact that you need to give it time. Time would indeed identify or you know, state if he's going to leave or he's going to stay. But do you think that some of the statements he's made have any iota of truth in it? Because he did say that this is not the same party that he knew. He's talking of policies and changes. And we've also spoken to a few APC members who equally have become aggrieved at the president's U-turn on policies that they are seeing of recent. As an APC member, would you agree with him that he has a little, you know, sense of truth in what he said? Or, I mean, maybe you might also want to
you see, I think we need to separate these issues. I mean, there's a lot of confusion, and what do I mean? If you're talking about government's policy, which he didn't directly say, but talking about the party issues, I think they're two different things. The president doesn't control the party. But the point you really, I think he still needs to talk more for us to be able to appreciate it.
To speak his mind.
His mind. Because you say zero, whatever, and all that. I mean, to an average person, for me, I mean, you have not said anything. Okay? If I have explained there that the party has its own structures, and these structures are working. When you talk about policy, what are policies? Policies are position directional signs or guides that tells you how you want to run, you know, your organization. And if you have 9 levels, you understand, and the 9 levels, I mean 8 are operating on a very, very regular, you don't just call a NEC meeting. Do you know what it is to call a NEC meeting? The logistics are highly huge. in terms of human, in terms of financial. And it's just like calling the policy-making, body. You don't just go into that, except there are critical issues that you want to address.
But is the APC planning to make Nigeria a one-party state as it's going?
Because Joe's question,
you know why I smiled?
His question is very legitimate.
Do you know why I smiled? It was an issue as late as 9:30 yesterday that was somewhere we were discussing. And I said clearly, Asiwaju would never pursue a one-party state.
So why is it that most opposition parties, especially the major ones, the PDP, the Labour Party, NNPP, are all going through some sorts of internal wranglers? There's fighting amongst them, and some have suggested that this is a deliberate ploy by the ruling APC to destabilize the workings of this party as we approach 2027.
Before Asiwaju became the president, were there no internal wranglings among parties? It's not just started.
Well, all of them seem to be fighting at the same time.
If they're fighting, that's their own business. You see, let me say this to you. It is easy for people to come up to proclaim that you want to be this, you want to be that. It's easy. But do you have the capacity? Do you have the capability? Do you have the competence to play the role you are aspiring for? Leadership is not an a la carte thing. If you want to lead a lot of people, take for example PDP. Why is PDP having problems? In 2020, we're now in 2025. In 2025, when the elections were coming, it is natural in this country that there is this unwritten understanding of rotation. Do you get that? After 8 years of a northerner, another northerner was equally aspiring. How do you explain that? So look at PDP's problem, what led into the crisis. Some said, sorry, the president cannot go back to the north. Do you get that?
But he won the primaries, internal democracy in PDP.
Who?
Atiku Abubakar.
Of course, don't forget, winning primary
is different.
That's what I told you, that if you're a leader and your followers are aggrieved, it takes a whole lot before you can pacify them. Not on issues as critical as what we're talking about. So look at Labour Party.
Go.
The person who today is seen to be the face and eye of Labour Party was not even an original member anyway. So what did he know about the birth of the party and how to run the party? So if you have all these issues, it's a clash between various interests. But it's natural for you to attribute that to someone. But I can tell you, Nigeria can never be a one-party
state. So you've said the APC is not planning to make a one-party state out of Nigeria.
The APC is running his own party. So whoever has his own party, let them run it and run it well. If they're having problems, they should also come back and see how they want to solve it.
Just to clear the air, before we call this a wrap, there are rumors that the APC is paying some other party members, who act as moles, to ensure that they destabilize these parties ahead of 2027. And there are rumors that 2027 campaign has started both internally and would be launched very soon. Can you confirm that to us? These two
number one, I'm not even in a position to confirm that.
Okay.
But as an individual, rumors fly quickly, not only in politics, all over the place. Somebody said, come on, what are we talking here? Some people have been given 50 million to do what? Yeah? It's funny. If you have this, some people have been asking the proponent of that please mention name. And if it's that person, we all know him, you understand that. But I don't know, it's unfounded. With my own experience, I don't really see that happening the way they're talking about it. 50 million, so for what to happen? The president, in the first place, has no choice but to deliver. His concern should be on how to deliver based on his own promises. 50 million to anybody, actually, he won't even do that. He would rather, skin himself out to ensure that those promises are made, notwithstanding the challenges. It is after that, fine, later, there could be a relationship, which is common in politics. Okay, those who are going all over the place now, holding meetings here and there. Don't they spend money to do all of this?
Well, fine, I know we're out of time, but what did you think about the PDP's fight just 2 days ago, kicking themselves and all that? How did the APC camp see that?
As an individual, it's not uncommon. It's not uncommon, especially when interests are diverse.
But these are supposed to be leaders.
It doesn't matter. Leadership does not prevent crisis. Okay? But the challenge is how do you now manage it? Was it proper to have degenerated to that level? I think it should not have.
Okay.
They will be able to know why it did degenerate to that level.
All right. Thank you so much, APC Chieftain Hakim Bash, for joining us live and dissecting some of the common issues surrounding APC and, of course, surrounding the founding member, as it were, and, of course, the newly appointed member who cross-carpeted from PDP to...
The special advisor.
It's because we didn't have enough time. If we trail...
Yeah.
Are we off?
Yeah, no, we're still on.
Okay, if we trail his ascension to supporting Asiwaju,
yeah.
It wasn't a smooth one. It wasn't deliberate from the beginning. There were interests here and there in some other people.
Sure.
But when it became clear that this man, there's no way. Look, Rufai himself, I still played one of his interviews when they went to collect certificate. And he was saying Asiwaju has the capacity, he has the capability, he has the competence.
I remember that.
And that Asiwaju is somebody who can engage people, who can practice inclusion. He has not said that Asiwaju does not have that. He has not said that Asiwaju is not doing this. Do you get that? But talking about the party governance and all that, I'm sure there is more to it, definitely. And I will urge him to please speak up more so that the leaders can address the leaders.
And there's so many lessons to be learned from this. This same advisor was the one that said, if you join the APC after 24 hours, your brain will stop working and things like that. But like you said, the screening process was tough. It wasn't an easy ride before it was accepted into the fold. Thank you, Mr. Hakim Bash, as always, for joining us on this discussion. You're still watching Breakfast Central here on News Central TV. Let's do a quick recap of the top stories for today that we've been treating today. Yes. Illegal IGP statement, court grants Sowore 10 million naira bail. You'll never get my international passports, response Sowore. And also, we just finished talking about this issue, Rufai and Bwala in public feud over President Tinubu's policies. Breakfast Central continues after this. Coming up next, NNPCL flags off construction in Kogi State at Jakarta, and we'll bring you the newspaper front pages later. And of course, back to the drawing board with Professor Joe Hansen.
Welcome back. It's time to find out what the big stories making the headlines today are saying. Joining us, we do have a very, very fantastic individual, the one whom we'd like to say happy weekend to as well. There are two of them. There's Dr. John, and of course there's Wade, who's here with us. Welcome, Wade. Pleasure to have you, and happy weekend, sir.
Thank God it's Friday.
Yes.
I hope you know what
Friday.
happy weekend means in Nigerian Palace. On the road, when you're driving on the road, and they say happy weekend, sir. You know what it means?
I have no clue. I don't work for security operatives.
Oh, okay. Well, okay, all right. It's fine.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me as usual.
Anyway, you can be part of the newspaper front pages. All you need to do is just call the phone line on the screen, dial it rather, and you will connect straight to us, and you can share and air your views here on News Central's Breakfast Central. But we're going to start off first by taking a look at what the front pages are saying. So let's bring up our very first paper very quickly as we take a look at that. And we would be looking at, just hold on a second as I bring that paper to the screen. Nigerian Tribune, that's it. Presidency, El Rufai trade words over governance and opposition. We just spoke extensively on that. We did have APC chieftain Akin Baz join us and expand on that particular topic. Well, be ready to defend your vote. Amechi tells Nigerians this is an incisive gist. We'd like to hear what is a point on that as well. Says politicians kill, maim, remain in power. Take note of those words. Kill, maim, remain in power. We owe survival of our democracy tonight to people's resilience, Abdul Salami says. A lot of governors are talking tough this morning. Banks comply with court ruling lifting ex parte Mareva order against GHL. Okay, that's a different story between First Bank and, of course, GHL. Well, let's move on. Appeal court affirms order prescribing IPOB as terrorist group. Remember, it was moved from Abuja. They're removing the case concerning IPOB, but now it's actually clear. Appeal court has affirmed order prescribing IPOB as terrorist group. Let's take another one very quickly. FIRS exceeded 2024 revenue target, collected 21.6 trillion naira, says Agege. Agency gets 25.2 trillion naira target for 2025 since they exceeded that of 2024. FIRS, most important agency right now. I mean, the finance minister is indeed, like giving them eulogies. Like, you guys are like, the biggest agency. You crossed your mark.
There's also set a target for 2025, so you can do better.
Yeah,
keeps urging them to do more.
The reward for hard work.
Let me come back to you, because Benga, if we leave Benga,
the reward for hard work
is more work.
For hard work.
Okay.
But all these revenues, I think we should start from that. How does it translate to a better life or better standard of living for the average Nigerian? I'm sure you drove down here. You could see the state of roads, especially. I mean, Lagos prides itself as a center of excellence. Some of the tarred roads, they should not even call them tarred roads. They're so bumpy. You have to check your shock absorbers every other day. What do you make of this? And then you're hearing that they declared this, a budget of this, big sounding money, trillions. We're now talking trillions. We've left at billions. Why doesn't it correspond in a better standard of living?
Brilliant question, Benga. And let me start by saying that I think it was my friend Tunji that was, I can't remember one of the shows he was on News Central. Nigeria's budget really hasn't changed when you look at it in terms of dollar value over the last maybe 10, 20 years. It comes to about 30 billion every year. What has changed is the Naira figure. Why? Because the exchange rate, well, it stopped dancing like the yo-yo is much more stabilized now. And thank God to that, but at least we have some stability in the market. But why is the revenues are just not enough, and then the amount you spend on recurrent expenditure, and then the loans which are taken towards providing infrastructure development, towards paying back those things.
Servicing the loans, yes.
In servicing the loans, and we don't see those infrastructure generate the revenues that should come with it. And that's why we still continue to have what we have. We need to invest more in infrastructure. And when I say invest in infrastructure, I'm not saying that you should build a road for the next 16 years or build a rail line for the next 20 years, or the next government that comes in will abandon the one that was started and start a new one, and then the next one will come in and start a new one. It just beats me. If government is a continuum, what is the state's plan? And when I mean the state's plan is not the governor's plan. The state's plan is the plan of the ministries and the parastatals within the state.
The blueprint, the civil servants.
The bureaucrats. Thank you. How do we want to map that out? And when I hear people talk about some of the things that are happening in Lagos today, some of the blueprint for Lagos had been mapped out since the 70s. Gigantic blueprint. Part of it started off from the federal government, which was taken over by, I think, Mobolaji Johnson then. And, it's just been, rather what we see today is that you yank out one part. Are you with me? We build things in silos these days. I remember growing up, Seplat, where Seplat is today, number one, Lekki Express Way used to be Maroko Sandfield. And in 2 years of my lifetime, I saw that road reach Ekpe. And it was dual carriage. And it's taken us almost 20 years to just add one extra lane and build 2 toll gates that are not working. And that's my point. And I was making this point also to someone sometime during the week, that Outer Marina was built in 18 months. But it's taken us 20 years to build the rail line. The Lagos master plan, which consists of the what then was called the Lagos Metro line, which was a combination of the railway that taps into the roads and all, working with the federal government, which included the third and the fourth mainland that everybody has been shouting for the last 30 years. And they've not even done the groundbreaking, not to talk about even putting getting contractors to work on it, has been in the Lagos blueprint for the last 50 years. And it's amazing where those who grew up in Lagos, who some of them are in corridors of power today, pardon my French, who knew this, are the same ones telling us that it's the center of excellence. It's just a bigger, in my opinion, and I hope, in my own opinion, Lagos has just become more crowded with more people coming into Lagos, and the infrastructure has not been expanded enough to meet the demands and the yearnings of
you don't even want to start.
So let me just drop it at that.
Yes.
Anyway, let's. What I'd like you to touch on the presidency, El Rufai trade words over governance opposition. What's your take when you saw those tweets flying about, especially on X? First from Bwala, and then of course, I mean, you did have El Rufai speak up first. He's been talking tough, and then again, Bwala gets to respond and tells him, come back home. And his subtle response. I didn't see that coming. Yeah, like he did.
Like he did.
Like he did. Like
this is a man who changed camps, went to publicize, went to become publicity manager or whatever it was for the opposition. And he's come back home to do what? And I was listening to the APC chieftain. Are you with me? I don't think when people criticize government, they've criticized the person. They've just criticized, one, policies that have been put in place, the implementation strategy of these policies, and the effects of those policies on the average Nigerian. So when we start to trade blames about persons rather than the systems that drive those things, then we continually make the mistake. I don't think El Rufai has said anything that hasn't been said by any other politician in Nigeria in the last 6 to 18 months. But
Bwala is questioning his motive. I mean, is it coming from a place of patriotism or vengeance? If you were a minister, if you were part of this government, would you be saying the same things?
He's not a minister, and he's not part of this government. And he's a Nigerian, and he has a right to express his views, which is what he has done. If people around El Rufai are continually complaining to him about economic hardship, about the challenges that they face, of course, as a senior citizen and a senior chieftain of the APC, he has a right to express his views. Those are his opinions. The same, like I said, the same buyer who has come back home, he changes like a chameleon, even without the sun out. And I'll leave it at that.
I mean, like you said, Uade, I mean, as a Nigerian citizen, as a chieftain, he has every right to air his
like we are
views,
saying here, we are Nigerians, we have a right to express our opinion.
Now let's look at our second paper, the Daily Trust. The headline there says, fresh controversy trails IGP's tenure extension. The writer says, Sowore insists Egbetokun's stay is illegal. Nothing wrong with the status. AGF Fagbemi. Sacking top cop will save Nigeria embarrassment. And police council duly confirmed him, says a force headquarters. We also have another headline there, Hajj 2025, low turnout as fair payment deadline ends today. And there's Elders fault ex-NHI boss arrest as court remands Yusuf in EFCC custody. There's also at the bottom of the paper there, low crude supply mars Naira for crude scheme. Dangote got 61,290 barrels per day for March as against 380,000 barrels per day. Now let's look at the headlines at the top. Akonde, how I convinced Tinubu to run for president. Interesting. I thought Tinubu said Emilio come by himself. I didn't know there was a voice, wisdom that told him.
Yeah.
And there's also appeal court affirm IPOB as a terrorist group. Democracy has come to stay in Nigeria, says former President Abdul Salam Abubakar. Where do we start from?
Well, I think let's look at the first controversy concerning the IGP's tenure. We know what took Sowore to police custody just recently, being given over 17 counts charges, and then there's also a case of him looking for a level 17 and then pushed further down to level 16 officer. And just recently, they've told him you need to bring in your international passport. You've got 24 hours. All because of, they say it's, hinged on cyber crime. I mean, what's your take first off on the first controversy, by the way? Looking at the fact that Sowore is still talking tough.
On which one? On Sowore or the
Sowore,
IGP?
of course, it still has to do with the IGP.
Yeah, it was Sowore that brought up this IGP.
Yeah, but and when I saw that, I had to just go check the records just to be sure. I know that the Police Service Act was amended.
Yes, just last year.
Yes, last year, and it says that, and according to the Attorney General, Fagbemi, who is the Chief Legal Officer in Nigeria, he says that amendment allows him, and if I would go with the act, I didn't read it, but he says that amendment allows him to stay out his tenure
till 2027.
Yes, even if he's above 60. Now, there's a contradiction. So what I think should happen is we should take the Civil Service Act, are you with me, and the Police Service Act, and then go to the Supreme Court
to test it.
To test the grounds. But if the Attorney General says this is what it is, that's his own interpretation. So which comes first, really? And this issue of retirement is not today. It's in the Act of the Civil Service that has been in place for God knows how long. Do you need to revisit that act? It's something that we need to check and decide whether we want 60-year-olds to leave service, are you with me, and retire, but are not tired. Really.
There are also
that's a different conversation on its own.
For the police, because you have juniors, you have people that are waiting to attain that retirement age. And what happens? It destabilizes the hierarchy of the police in some form. And there's also, the president can also decide to let him go before the expiration of his 4 years.
Oh yes, the president. We see the president, remove. We've seen presidents remove IGPs and bring in new ones, even before his retirement age. Exactly. And bring in those who are sometimes much younger than even their superiors and become IGPs, and what happens to every other person. And I think this is where, and I know how this came to be, but I think we need to step back and come back and look at the systems in Nigeria and say, because you retired, and because you moved someone into a position, it's a political appointment. Are you with me? Yes, you need to also, when you look at the military and rank and file, you need to also adjust those things. But it doesn't mean that those officers, all of them, should be retired, because they still have a lot to provide to the system. And these are the reasons why you have people who are still valuable to the system, all just being shipped out because of one decision by the president. And I think these are things we need to just sit back, look at, readjust those things. Maybe even readjust the Civil Service Act. All over the world, Civil Service Acts are being amended to provide extensions, because we still have, then when we were talking about people being 60, we had a population of 53 million.
Mm-hmm.
What are we talking about?
So you support an extension of the work life of civil servants too?
If judges can stay till 70, why can't civil servants stay till 65? You have 65, 70-year-olds, even 80-year-olds still running their private sector business.
Very active. We also forgot that we do have 80-year-old presidents in other countries.
I'm not even talking about. Okay, so so the president in Nigeria, for instance, is above 70.
Of course.
Should he retire?
Very important question. Now, apart from that, the Sowore issue has raised quite a number of debates and issues. There's also that part of police extortion, and if the IGP is ego-driven, and if this 17 charges are driven out of personal vendetta and vengeance. Now, let's talk about. I don't want to sound like a broken record.
This case is in court, so I
I'm
always try as much as possible.
We're not discussing the legal,
and I'm not a legal person.
The legal aspect of it, but I mean, we see this all the time. Sowore was on his way to the airport. The police asked him to stop. He didn't stop. He said they're extorting. If he had evidence of extortion, I don't know. But we live in this city and we know how some of these things happen. Do we need the police to have a special minimum wage? Sowore proposed 250,000 for the rank and file, that it should be the base pay, so as to avoid, policemen, happy weekending and all of that.
I mean, we told them happy weekend earlier.
And I said I don't work for security agencies, so I don't understand.
What's your take on that?
I don't think the minimum wage. We had this discussion about minimum wage. Are you? I don't think the minimum general. No, but you see, they are no different from other civil servants in other countries.
But their job is risky.
So is every other job. Let's be careful about what we say. Yes, I understand, because they put themselves in the line of fire towards protecting lives and property, and then you should provide them those extra, some extra benefits. But generally, the policing system in Nigeria has been abysmal for years. It's not just this administration. It's been something that has happened over the last 40 years, where barracks, where policemen stay, look like God knows what. Some of them are just being renovated. But you compare them to
being sold.
Well, that's like, I don't have that, I'm not privy to that information. However, when you look at other security agencies and the kind of attention that is given to them, then it beats me that those who are the first line of defense internally to protect the lives and properties of Nigerians.
Sorry to cut you short. We do have a phone call. Thanks for calling, by the way. Good morning. Yeah, good morning. Go ahead.
Yeah, good morning. Yeah, please, I want to talk about the issue of the IGP, Inspector General of Police. I think as a layman, in the layman's term, the Constitution says when you attain 60 years, you have to go. This Police Act that came into play now in this issue, are we supposed to have it? The man, others go, even the civil servants go when they ask, immediately they clock 60 years. If you have 4 years and you clock 60, where you have spent 2 years, you are supposed to leave because you are 60 years old. This attitude of bringing in Police Act, amending it, saying that you have to, even if you have clocked 60, you need to finish your 4 years. Is what politicians brought into our law to suit them. It doesn't supposed to hold water. Because the common, in the layman's term, you have to go when you clock 60, and people have been retired. I have a cousin that he has some years to go into control of prisons. But the moment he clocked 60, he left. This man has forgotten that there are some people behind coming up that will clock 60, that will take that position. Why is he extending it? People are behind. People are queued up. So,
Today.
this attitude they are bringing up, it's unacceptable. I don't like it. Thank you. I'm doing a nice day.
Thank you, Trudy. Thanks for calling because of time. But Trudy just made a very salient point.
And
very key.
And very, very,
what happened to those who have
And he did mention it. Benga actually did mention it. And like I said, this is the time for us to test a number of things. How efficient the judicial system is going to help us test them is a different thing entirely.
So how come a lawyer or a law firm or senior advocate of Nigeria hasn't taken this to?
But the Attorney General, so
the Chief Law Officer.
The Chief Law Officer, are you with me, can actually take this directly to the Supreme Court.
But he's not.
But he's supporting.
Yeah, because he says, and let's also remember, that acts of parliament are also to complement constitutional things. So if acts of parliament have been signed and says this is what it is, and that's why I said, take it back to the Supreme Court, let's interpret it, and then what then happens to all those who are coming behind him who turned 60? Because then it now becomes an issue of how does it become operational?
Because you might be setting a dangerous precedent.
You might be, but you might also be opening the way for you to push for retirement age to move beyond 60.
All right, let's take this call. Lenin calls from Abuja. Good morning, Lenin. Can you speak up, please, so we can hear you?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Please go ahead.
Okay, I want to speak up about the hypocrisy of this APC government. I want to ask, how many tankers, fuel tankers have killed Nigerians this year alone? What did the president of this Federal Republic of Nigeria do? He didn't say anything. Just yesterday, a civilian airplane and a military airplane in U.S. had each clash yesterday. What happened? The president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria on his Twitter handle, on his X handle, sent a condolence message to U.S. How many people have died in Nigeria? Did he do anything? So this is just hypocrisy.
Lenin, I'm sorry to butt in. The president did something. Yes. He commiserated with the families of those who lost their lives. He did something, Lenin. He did put out a message through his senior special advisor, Bayo Nanuga. Yes.
Okay, but then something happened in the U.S.
Things happened. The president was far out, was far away, on an assignment as well. So he did.
Right,
he did. Thank you so much. Good morning. All right, I think on that note, we're going to wrap up the papers for this morning. Wade, thank you so much for your analysis as always. Well, hopefully before next Friday when you come here, we would hear at least one good story or the other. Hopefully the Naira would gain more strength and the dollar would...
It has started.
It has started, 1,400 now,
So we're expecting more positive news.
Well, I think this year it would settle around 1,500, 1,450, 1,500. That's my prediction.
Okay.
From what I see.
All right.
With what the CBN is trying to do with the new system to trade FX, which should become a bit more transparent, with more and more BDCs coming into that system, so you might get more dollars coming into the system officially.
And we're also saving dollars by not buying refined petrol products like we used to.
Oh yeah, to a large extent, because petrol importation has dropped significantly.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us. All right, stay with us. When we come back here on Breakfast Central, we would be going back to the drawing board and find out what we'll be talking about in a moment. So it's Friday again, and we're going back to the drawing board, and we're talking about what has really plagued residents in Lagos State. I do understand that other states are equally facing the same challenges and problems. And we're talking about the high cost of rent, accommodation in Lagos middle class areas. So we do have rent, landlords, the type of houses you want to move to, and how much they cost. Well, let me quickly take you to the drawing board by first of all ensuring that our drawing board is, at least clean enough And you get to find out if you are a salary earner where you fall into. So let me start off first by putting this graphics for you to see on the screen and ensure that you understand the angles or the areas we're focusing on. So in Lagos, we're going to focus on Ikeja, Surulere, not forgetting Lekki-Ajah axis and Agege. And our focus should be on middle income earning areas. Now, by middle income, I mean if you're in Surulere, I'm talking about places like Ikeja, down to, you know, a bit of Mushi, down to a bit of, let's just say Ikeja, down to Lawansin and the likes. And if you are on the island, we're going to talk about not Victoria Island, not Lekki Phase 1, well, a bit more of maybe Osakpa down to Agungi area, going down to after Ibrahim Adesoya and so on. So you get what I'm saying, right? Well, I hope you understand the picture. So these are the areas we're looking at. Now, we're going to backtrack from 2015 to what the rent says now as we speak. So see what residents are going through and then see where you actually stand. Let's start off first with a very popular one, which we call by Face Me, I Face You. And I mean the single room apartments, otherwise known as Face Me, I Face You. Okay. Now, back then, this single room apartment, you pay 3,000 naira per month. You recall? I'm talking about from 2013. You see 3,000 naira per month in some areas. You see it for 5,000 naira per month. So you calculate that times 12. You know how much you pay in a month. But these days, it's increased to 15,000. In short, I was speaking to someone yesterday, and he said he pays 20,000 for a month for a Face Me, I Face You. You know what I mean? Face Me, I Face You. We do understand what we mean by these definitions, okay? They're single, just one room apartment in blocks, plenty. You share toilets, you share the kitchen, and everybody has their, their stove and everything. So that's that amount. Now, if you calculate that, you'll be paying close to about 180,000 naira. 180,000 naira and above per annum. That's per year. That's what you're paying for a single room in Lagos. Imagine. Now, let's go to the second one. We're talking about a one room, self-contained, one room, the basic one room, a room. It has its toilet and so on and so forth. As way back as 2013, you'd pay as low as 6,000 naira per month to about 10,000 naira. But now, people are now paying 60,000 naira per month. 60. Okay? And if you're looking at that 60,000 naira per annum, it simply means that you'll be paying close to about 750,000 naira. Can you see how it skyrocketed in terms of pricing? Yes, that's the price. That's what people pay as much as this for a self-contained, what we usually call self-con. Okay, and that's per annum. Number 3, let's quickly run through. You also have a room parlor. Now, what this means is the term room parlor means there's a room where you could lay in, sleep, and you turn it to your bedroom. There's also a mini space for your living room area, and so on and so forth. So that used to be 12,000 naira per month. Way back as far as 2012, 2013, our benchmark is from 2013, and now people pay as much as 80,000 naira per month, meaning that per annum, they end up paying close to about 950,000 naira for that. Quickly, let's go to two-bedroom flats. 2012, 2013, you pay 45,000 naira for that per month, but now currently the stakes are high. You pay 100,000 naira per month. So in 12 months, you pay 1.2 million. You're looking at 1.2 million. In some areas, 1.5 million for just 2-bedroom. Remember the area we're looking at. We're not looking at, the high-class area. Now, the 5th one is the 3-bedroom flats. Before, you pay 150, but these days, you pay 400,000 naira for a 3-bedroom flat. I'm talking about the middle-class areas. And this means per annum, you'll be spending close to about 5 million naira. There's a lot at stake here. That takes us to the duplexes. Yes, the duplexes as well. You pay close to about, it used to be 200,000 naira. 200,000 naira in 2013 per month. But now you pay close to 550,000 naira per month. And that will mean that in a year, you will be paying close to about 15 million naira for a duplex. Why are we going through the drawing board now? It just shows you how expensive accommodation prices have indeed skyrocketed and how it's going to impact on your pocket. Now, let's look at the benchmark. How much do you earn? We're going to go full screen on this graphic now so you could start to think about yourself. If you earn salaries of 200,000 naira per month, 300,000 naira per month, 400,000 naira per month, and then you go as far as 500, 600, you should know which of the houses you could rent. Can you see that? Let me help you. For those who earn 200,000 naira per month, you can come back to the board now. If you earn 200,000 naira per month, it simply means that you would be able to save as low as 50,000 naira per month for your rent. And 50 times 12, we all know, will give you nothing more than 600,000 naira in a year. Where do you belong to here? Single room? Yeah, you can pay single room. Self, contained, like you call it, 750. You may try as much to pay that, so you belong to number 2, or possibly if you want to save some more money in today's administration, you might go to, face me, I face you, so you could have more money to save. If you earn a salary of 300,000 naira, you might also belong to this, the one room, like we call it, room, parlor, self-contained and so on, which goes for 950,000 naira because you can afford to save as much as 60, 70,000 naira if you earn 300,000 naira in a month. But the truth is, it would be hard for you to rent a duplex, for you to rent a 3-bedroom flat, which currently now goes for 5 million, 4 million, and so on in the middle class areas. Now, what if you went to the high-rise, buildings and the expensive areas like Ikoyi? You think the 3-bedroom flats go for 5 million? Not at all. Why are we bringing this to the drawing board? The reason is because we have stopped, as a government, to focus on low-income housing. And it is a big challenge as we speak today. Lagos is faced with difficulties of getting the right housing and also paying the right rent that your salary can afford. It takes us back to 41 years ago during the Jakande era, where he indeed focused on ensuring that low-income houses were built, and we still see them all over the places. But today, it's quite a sad situation. So if you are going through a housing crisis, you might want to look at this analysis and look at your salary and see how much you could earn, how much you could save to rent a house where you would be able to stay in. It's a call to the government to see what they can do to ensure that more houses are built so that Nigerians will not in any way use their entire salary to pay for a rent. Benga,
brilliant analysis, and I'm happy you brought this. You mentioned the importance of public housing, proper public housing, and you went all the way to Jakande. These days, you have government launch housing schemes, but they're not really low cost, and a lot of those houses are bought by their cronies and friends.
Absolutely.
And how do you call something low cost and it's going for 20, 50 million? It's not low cost. And there's also the cost of living crisis. Some of the from your analysis, from what I saw, I don't think your take home can take you home. And
no, not at all.
It has reached a crisis level, and we need to do something about it. There's also the issue of monthly rental. How do you expect me to pay for something I've not earned? How do I come up with some landlords even ask for 2 years upfront?
So that's another thing we have to take to the drawing board. The landlords are asking for exorbitant prices. It seems like there's been a meeting with all landowners and house owners where they've come out to say, listen, the house rent is increasing not by 10%, 15%, Benga, but I'm talking about quadruple, in quadruples.
Exponentially, yes.
Exponentially. A rent that was, you were paying your rent, you were spending, 950,000 naira. The landlord comes and tells you, listen, the new rent is 1.5, from 950 to 1.5. In this current administration, what justifies it moving from 950 to 1.5?
And salaries aren't going up.
That's it.
So I wonder how people are coping.
So if care is not taken, we're just bringing this to everyone's notice, taking it back to the drawing board to remember how housing was very affordable in comparison to what we are paying today. And if we do not put an action to this, I'm afraid to say that a lot of Nigerians might end up staying on the streets.
It's that important. Thank you very much for bringing up this.
That's it.
Drawing board.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it. Anyway, thank you guys for joining us. It's been a fantastic show all the way. Myself and Benga started off on Monday, and we're here till Friday. I want to thank you for watching. Next week, we'll have a breaking news for you on a Monday morning. Should we tell them? Nah, let's wait till next week.
have a fuller house.
Yeah. Make sure you join us then. Thanks for watching. I'm Joe Hansen.
And I'm Benga Borough. See you next week. Bye-bye.